Hi there. Thanks for joining us. This is Space Nuts. My name is Andrew Dunkley. It's great to have your company yet again. Coming up on this episode, we will be looking at a new Big Bang theory, so to speak. It's sort of wrapped up with dark matter and dark energy and all that dark and foreboding stuff. So we'll talk about that. Some other data is pointing to a potential outer planet, and it may not be Planet 9, or is it? We're not sure yet. We'll talk about that. And some space science stuff. An old Russian spacecraft is headed back to Earth, and unfortunately that's not where it was originally supposed to go back in 1972. Artemis 2, an update on that, and a bit of a budget cut issue with NASA. That's all coming up on this episode of Space Nuts.
15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 10, 9... Ignition sequence start.
Space Nuts.
5, 4, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Space Nuts.
Astronauts report it feels good.
And it's good to see Professor Fred Watson again joining us on this episode of Space Nuts. Hi, Fred.
Hello, Andrew. Very good to see you too. You're looking hale and hearty, I have to say.
Yes, I've got a new background. Do you like my new office?
I do, yes.
My new virtual office.
It's saying a lot of hellos at the moment.
It is. It's got a hello. And if I put my hands in the right place, they're invisible.
Yes.
In fact, if I moved around, I go invisible.
You do, yes. You went invisible a minute or two ago, and I thought you'd rocketed into space. Never mind. Yes. It was one day, no doubt you will.
Now, you've been away, haven't you?
We were over in Lord Howe Island, which is an island some hundreds of kilometres off the coast of New South Wales. It's on the same latitude of Port Macquarie.
I used to broadcast Lord Howe Island
there. Yes, you did. I didn't actually have that much chance to talk to many of the locals in detail, or else I would have asked them if they. In fact, I think I did ask one person whether they listened to you, and they said yes.
Wow.
But we were there for a dark sky festival. Lord Howe is working on the prospect of becoming Australia's first dark sky island, which is like a dark sky park, but it's an island. And look, I'm not giving away any secrets there, but there are people working on that very enthusiastically, and we wish them every success with it. So this was a sort of kick-off festival with talks and presentations, and I took the old Gibson guitar, and Marnie and I did a set in their music night. We did 7 songs between us. That was
cool.
Fun. I haven't done that for about 50 years. And then we did some experiments with a friend of ours, Mark Iscaro, launching rockets which were fueled by vinegar and bicarbonate of soda, which meant we all ended up smelling of vinegar for the next 4 days. It went very well. That was a fun thing for the kids to do. So it was a good festival, and it wound up on Thursday evening with a very nice meal cooked up by one of the top chefs on the island. So
wow,
it's great,
fantastic. I haven't been to Lord Howe, but we're gonna have to get there.
You need to go. You do need to go.
Yes, it's also the home of some unique wildlife, I believe.
There are, yes, and particularly the wood hen, which is ubiquitous. They had a program 4 or 5 years, 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was, to eliminate all the rats on the island, which were eating the wood hens, and that was quite controversial, but it's worked, and the wood hens are there in remarkable profility. How's that?
Yes, that's it. And they also have those quite rare stick insects on the. Is it on the spire?
It's on Ball's Pyramid. Gosh, you're right there. Yeah, Ball's Pyramid, 20 kilometres off Lord Howe. We had a very rough crossing to Ball's Pyramid. We went because I always wanted to see it up close and personal. It's this stick of rock, 500 metres high, and remarkable. And it, as you said, it does have. I think it's the only place where these nocturnal stick insects are found, and they're actually quite big. I saw a photograph of one.
Yeah, I remember that story breaking many years ago when they found them, and they went, "Oh my goodness, didn't know they were here."
That's right.
Yeah, incredible place.
It is. It's amazing. So, what about you? How's your week been?
Pretty quiet, actually. Just sort of settling back into normal life, even though that's going to be temporary. But I did want to show you something from our trip. As you know, we went to San Francisco, and San Francisco is the home of a big rock known as Alcatraz.
Indeed.
And I like to collect souvenirs wherever I go, particularly little rocks from different places. But this one's legal.
Oh, is it?
There it is.
Save the rock.
Yeah, and inside that box,
Yes.
are two pieces of the cell block of Alcatraz, because they're trying to do renovations to keep it going for future generations. And so as a part of the renovation process, they've had to demolish certain sections, and they're selling the rock to fund the renovations.
Renovations. There you go.
So I got two pieces of the cell wall from Alcatraz in my collection.
Just about see them as your screen tries to wipe them out and make them part of the background.
Yeah, if I tip it forward, it disappears.
Yeah, I can see them. So that's
there they are.
Oh, there they are. Yes, looking very penal, penal colony.
This chunk of concrete. It says this chunk of concrete is a byproduct of a major rehabilitation effort now underway on the island. It's been inspected by park historic preservation specialists to be sure that it contains nothing of research potential. So it's just looks like a piece of concrete, but it's actually a piece of Alcatraz, and it's all mine.
And interestingly, it's in the news at the moment, of course, because President Trump wants to reinstate it as a jail.
Oh, does he? I didn't hear that one.
Yep.
It needs, I'll tell him one thing for free. It needs work. It needs work. But it's only a 15-minute trip to get over there.
Yes, that's right. I haven't been to
Pier 39. So, yeah, it's worth visiting, though. We better get down to the business of the day, and that is astronomy and space science. And we'll start off with this story, Fred, a new theory on the Big Bang. Dark matter, dark energy, all of that stuff is rolled into this paper that's been released through the University of Alabama in Huntsville. This is a physics professor who's come up with alternative theories in the past on other things. This one, though, is probably going to get pulled apart under the microscope. What he's suggesting is there might not have been one big bang, but lots of little bangs.
That's right, exactly, and you've described it perfectly. It's a really interesting theory in that if you have lots of little bangs rather than one big one, apparently, mathematically, you can get rid of dark matter and dark energy, which are, of course, the two big problems in current cosmology. What are these? And just a bit of background there. Dark energy, we think, is the property of space that makes the expanding universe accelerate in its expansion. Although we're just starting to see evidence that might slow down that acceleration. It looks as though it was more rapid 5 billion years ago than it is today. That's new news, I guess, on the what you might call the conventional picture. And of course, the other half of that is the dark matter, which is something that we believe holds galaxies together and holds clusters of galaxies together, which is invisible and undetectable except by its gravity. Two big problems for modern cosmology. So Professor Liu, it thinks that he's solved both of these with a theory that it's got a name. I can't remember what it is. His paper is entitled. I can't find the title of his paper either. It's something like "Getting Rid of Dark Matter and Dark Energy." It's basically the idea, exactly as you've said, is that you, instead of having one big bang, you have several little ones that sort of every time you get one, they it sort of restarts things in a odd way, and that's the bit of this that I have to say I don't understand, because we have such great evidence that there's only been one big bang, and that is the fact that we still see it, the cosmic microwave background radiation.
Yeah, wouldn't that just wipe his theory out instantaneously?
Well, unless he suggests that you get a new microwave background radiation every time there's one of these mini big bangs, but that actually flies in the face of the research, the observations that Professor Liu is suggesting that we do to detect these multiple Big Bangs. I think the cosmic microwave background radiation is a showstopper for this. And the reason is, when we look out into space, we see progressively objects, most notably galaxies, at different redshifts. They're increasing redshift. The redshift is the move of the light to the red end of the spectrum. It's what we measure. We believe it's happening because space is expanding. That stretches the light waves and gives you the redshift. And if you look at a high enough redshift, what do you see? You see the Big Bang. You see the cosmic microwave background radiation, the flash of the Big Bang, when the universe became transparent about 380,000 years after the Big Bang event. Now, what Professor Liu is saying is that you could test his theory by looking for, as you look back in time, in other words, at increasing redshifts, look for jumps in redshift. Which, it might mean that you, if you're looking along a particular line of sight, you see all the galaxies along that line of sight. You see them gradually increasing in redshift, and then suddenly you see a jump in redshift, which looks as though something's missing. And what he's suggesting is that's where you get a mini Big Bang. But that, as I said, flies in the face of the cosmic background radiation, because that is at the most extreme redshift we can observe. It's at the redshift of about 1300, because the universe has expanded by a factor similar to that in the time since it became transparent, which is what we can see. We can see the opaque universe at that great distance. So that's my take on it, for what it's worth, from a non-cosmologist. But it's causing interest. It's really, it's actually an interesting piece of work. I haven't looked at the original paper, but as you pointed out, I think you found this one, Andrew. This is on the Brighter Side of News, the website. There's a lovely piece of prose at the end of that article, which I'd love to read out to you, quoting the Brighter Side of News. Instead of hunting for invisible ingredients, i.e. dark matter and dark energy, instead of hunting for invisible ingredients, scientists might start listening for the echoes of ancient, unstoppable bursts, the hidden rhythms of a universe still in motion. Very poetic.
Yeah, very, very. I think the paper is titled, Are Dark Matter and Dark Energy Omnipresent?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I had that, but I couldn't remember it.
Yeah, well, yeah. Why would you remember that?
Yes. So watch this space. We'll see what other physicists and astronomers make of it, and hopefully see a bit more.
That's what I like about these papers, is that everybody gets to read them and go, well, okay, I think that's wrong and this is why. Or I think that could be on the money and this is why. Everybody gets a say in it. So it gets bounced around like a pinball until everyone seems to settle on some agreeable potential answer. Would that be right?
Yeah, that's right. And it's a consensus. It's, as the scientific consensus emerges, that's what we then regard as the standard model, if I can put it that way. But often, like some of this particular work is going to take a lot to verify it. And looking for redshift steps might be one way of doing it. And in fact, I was going to mention this, that is not new. I remember back in the 70s, when I was working at the Royal Observatory in Edinburgh, one of my colleagues was looking for what he called quantized redshifts that appeared in groups among the galaxies, which is the sort of thing that you might expect Professor Liu's research to throw up. He didn't find them, the person who was my colleague at Edinburgh. He never found them. So, but that was, of course, with 1970s technology. We have moved on a very, very long way since then. Just a little bit.
Yes,
that's right.
I'm sure we'll hear more about this story as people analyse his theory, so we'll keep an eye on that. And as Fred said, it's available for you to read on the brightside.news website. Let me tell you a little bit about our sponsor, Incogni. And with so many scams available on the internet and so many people getting caught and so many hundreds of thousands of dollars being taken out of bank accounts and credit cards and who knows what, you really do want to be more vigilant when you're online, especially with, private information. But how do you stop it from getting onto the dark web? How do you stop hackers from getting into your stuff? Well, the answer is Incogni. And there's a special deal for you as a Space Nuts listener, thanks to our sponsor, Incogni. They're offering an exclusive 60% discount on Incogni. What will it do for you? Well, it'll reduce the amount of spam emails and spam calls that you get. It'll certainly lower the risk of identity theft, and it will make your personal information much harder to find online. And they have a 30-day money-back guarantee with their product. And look, they do all the hard work for you. If you were to try and go online and clean out all your personal information, they reckon it'd take you a couple of years. Why not just get someone else to do it for you? Remove all your exposed personal information from anywhere. Google results, public websites, and companies who collect and sell data. You can do that and get rid of all of that with the Incogni Unlimited plan. They handle an unlimited amount of data removal requests for you, reclaiming your info, even from the most challenging data broker through opt-out processes. So it's a great product. It's fabulous. And all you have to do is go to a special URL and sign up and start removing yourself from the internet now, or, the places you don't want to be, basically. So it's incogni.com/spacenuts, incogni.com/spacenuts. Then just click on the button, start removing now, and you can check out all their plans. Very, very inexpensive. You can do individual plans, unlimited plan, of course, which I've mentioned, standard plans, family plans, whatever suits you. There'll be an offer available as a Space Nuts listener through Incogni. And if you sign up for their annual package, you'll save 60%. And don't forget that 30-day money-back guarantee. It's incogni.com/spacenuts, and you can cancel anytime. Don't forget that. incogni.com/spacenuts. Now, back to the show.
0G, and I feel fine.
Space Nuts.
Now, Fred, let's move on to another story that we've looked at many times, and that is Planet 9, although this is probably not about Planet 9, but they have been looking at data that suggests there is an outer planet further out than they think where Planet 9 should be. So is this Planet 10 or 9.5 or what?
I think they're calling it 8.5 because we've got, this is not Planet 9, that is Planet 8.5.
Right. Okay. So what's the story?
So, let's scan backwards to 2016, I think it was. 2016, when two US astronomers basically put out a paper suggesting that the fact that we've got all these distant asteroid orbits, these are objects, trans-Neptunian objects that are beyond the orbit of Neptune, and in fact some of them are what are called extreme trans-Neptunian objects a long way beyond the orbit of Neptune, whose orbits are highly elliptical. They're very, very elongated, but they seem to line up. The elongated orbits seem to line up, and they suggested that was because there's a planet out there that we haven't found. They called it Planet 9. They think it's probably 10 times the mass of the Earth, what you might call a super Earth or a sub-Neptune. Those are the planets that are kind of common in other solar systems, but are missing in our solar system. So it sort of fit the bill. Lots of enthusiasm for this. but also, again, lots of controversy. I think I probably mentioned to you at the beginning of last year, was it? I think, yes. When I was in Canada, I spoke to a planetary scientist there who said Planet 9 is rubbish. And that was somebody who was well tuned with, with the science. Anyway, we now have a new theory, some new observations, which come from astronomers in Taiwan, Japan, and here in Australia.
Yeah.
And what they've done is they've looked through archival images from two infrared satellites. One was called IRAS, which I remember well. It was a NASA Netherlands UK satellite dating from 1983. A very, very productive satellite, infrared astronomy satellite. That's what the abbreviation was. And Akari, which was a kind of Japanese equivalent, which was launched quite a long time later in 2006. And that means, excuse me, both these satellites surveyed the sky. Excuse my frog in my throat. But they are, they're doing it at two completely different times, which are 25-ish years apart.
Yeah.
And so what that means is that if there's something deep in the solar system that is slowly moving, you might be able to pick up its motion on these sets of images that were taken so far apart in time. That's what they found. They basically had 2 million objects in the two catalogues, and they got down to, I think it was 13 candidates of objects that moved slowly across the sky in the time. And then they looked at each one by eye. Some of them probably turned out to be flaws in the data and things of that sort.
Yeah.
But one of them actually looked very promising because the two observations, the IRAS and Akari observations, separated by 20-odd years, showed an object that had moved, but its colour and its brightness were the same in both images. And so they are suspecting that makes it the same object rather than, two bits of dud data or something like that. Now, it's actually something different from what Planet 9 has been suspected. First of all, this object, if it is real, goes around the sun in the opposite direction from everything else. Okay. It's tilted way over, its orbit's tilted at 120 degrees, which, because it's more than 90 degrees, means it's going the wrong way around. Whereas Planet 9, the theory that was built around these extreme trans-Neptunian objects, provided a model for Planet 9 that really needed a very low orbit tilt, 15 degrees or so, in order to do the stretching of these orbits or the alignment of these orbits. So the two scientists who were the original proposers of Planet 9, Mike Brown and Konstantin Batygin, they say, well, whatever this is, it's not Planet 9, and but it may be something else. That's the inference that this thing may be real, and it clearly needs more data to determine whether it's a real object. If it is, it might, exactly as we said before, might be Planet 8.5 or 9.5. I guess the best bet for finding it is going to be when we get the Vera C. Rubin Observatory online, which is going to be towards the end of this year. And that is going to be able to look at the southern sky, which I think is where this object is. I can't remember what constellation it was in. But it's going to be able to look at the southern sky in much detail. And it may find Planet 9, or it may confirm Planet 8.5, or it may just tell us there's nothing out there at all. So this is something that we're going to look forward to, and you and I will talk about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, and this has also created another issue because if this is a planet beyond where Planet 9 should be, there is another theory that suggests that it will basically eliminate the potential existence of Planet 9 because they would interfere with each other, and that's not evident in this data.
That's correct. That's right. So yeah, you picked up on something I'd forgotten when I read the piece. That's right. It's if this is a real object, it would not be compatible with there being a Planet 9. Which would actually be much nearer than this. This thing is a long, long way away, right on the edge of the solar system, if it's real. And it would conflict with the idea of a Planet 9. Yes, so it may be that this will, if it turns out to be the right thing, if it turns out to be a real thing, then it might knock the Planet 9 theory on the head altogether.
But it's still just as exciting because it's a planet.
Yeah, it could be a planet. That's right.
Could be a planet. Regardless, so forget Planet 9. Planet,
I got this.
Whatever,
whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can find that one. They might end up calling it Planet 9 anyway, because
that's what it'll be.
That's what it'll be. Exactly. Yeah. It's really interesting. This one just keeps coming up. This
out of planet keeps on giving.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. If you would like to read up on that, it's been published on the website science.org. This is Space Nuts with Andrew Dunkley and Professor Fred Watson.
Roger, you're allowed to clear here also.
Space Nuts.
Now, Fred, a few quick stories about various things that are happening, mainly involving spacecraft or space missions or lack of, although the last story's more of a budget cut issue. But let's go back to 1972 when the Soviet Union and the United States were very heavily involved in the space race. And the Soviet Union launched a spacecraft that was supposed to send a lander to Venus, didn't quite make it. And now it's probably going to crash back down to Earth.
That's right. So Cosmos 482 was the name of the mission, and it was on its way to Venus. You're absolutely right. But apparently, one of the final stages in the rocket, the upper stage, the booster basically malfunctioned, and so the spacecraft went into orbit around the Earth. It's probably quite a big orbit. I'm not sure of its dimensions, but it's been in orbit around the Earth for the last 53 years.
Yeah.
And that time has now come when its orbit is decaying, and it looks as though it is going to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. And with actually a prediction for its entry almost as soon as the end of this week.
Yeah.
That's very hard to predict because it's uncontrolled. It doesn't have any sort of way of being directed as to where it will re-enter the atmosphere. So it'll come down in a random place. And as you mentioned earlier on, it's dangerous in a sense because this spacecraft was designed to penetrate the atmosphere of Venus. And Venus's atmosphere is much thicker than our atmosphere. Now it would have been a controlled entry into the atmosphere of Venus. It would have had braking rockets to slow it down, which it doesn't have coming into the Earth's atmosphere. But it does mean that there might be bits of this capsule which will actually survive re-entry and could land on the ground. It's one to watch, I think, is this, because we could see a headline that this piece of ancient space junk has landed in somebody's paddock or still landed on somebody's house, and will probably cause global news. So look out for news on that within the next few days.
It might create one heck of a fireball.
It could, yes, that's right. Yeah, it could, as it comes down.
But we don't know. We don't know where it might land at this stage. It's one of these very unpredictable scenarios. So it could just land anywhere. I mean, odds are it's going to miss something significant. It's just probably going to land in probably water would be most likely.
Well, that's correct, because water is what covers most of the Earth, 70% or 75%. That's right, and that's sort of tends to be what happens with re-entering space debris. Most of it goes into the ocean.
Yeah, but they go on to say that the risk of something getting hit is not particularly high, but not zero.
That's right. That's correct.
But I guess that's always the case with anything coming through the atmosphere. So. Yes, watch with interest. Keep your eye on the sky. That story in spacedaily.com. Let's move on to our next story. This is really exciting news. Lockheed Martin has finished the Orion capsule, which is going to be put on top of Artemis 2.
Indeed, that's right. For launch next year, and Artemis 2 will carry 4 astronauts, and in a repeat mission of Artemis 1, which was basically going to the moon and back, going into a very elongated orbit around the moon, and then coming back to Earth, re-entering and landing back on Earth. That was all done as a dress rehearsal. I think it's 2 years ago now.
It would be.
Since. And it worked flawlessly, actually. Everything worked very well after a few hiccups on the launch pad. So Artemis 2 is the same thing, but will carry a crew. I think the capsule it's had some upgrades from the original planned one.
Yeah, I think they put a toilet in it.
That would be very good if they did. These are we've got a quote here that comes from one of the Lockheed Martin engineers. To support the health and safety of the crew, this new systems have been added, which include life support, air, water, thermal control, waste management, as you said, displays and controls, audio communications, an exercise machine, and a fully functional launch abort system. And lots of other bells and whistles on it. And so there'll be a lot of work now to kind of get the thing ready for launch next year. But yes, Artemis is on track for Artemis 2 flying very soon.
Yeah, and they will carry astronauts this time. This will be a human mission, and they're going to go way past the moon like the first mission.
Yes.
Will this be a record as to the furthest people have been out?
It will indeed. That's right. It's going to be it's going to be the furthest from Earth that any human has ventured. So that's, yes.
Yeah. At the moment, I think that record is held by Michael Collins, because he was by himself, wasn't he, in the Apollo 11 capsule.
Yeah, that might be right. I mean, all the Apollo astronauts, what was it? It was the capsule commander, I think, were left in orbit around the moon. I don't know, and so some of those orbits might have been higher than others.
Yeah,
but,
it rings a bell. I think
probably
that's
true.
right.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'll be corrected. I could look it up, but
why bother? We've got Space Nuts listeners.
It's right. They're very quick to correct us. Absolutely. But this is all exciting news, and it looks, they're looking at, was it April next year for launch? So everything on schedule at the moment. But this is another example of the collaborative effort to put these missions together. It's Lockheed Martin's just one company. I think Airbus is involved in this as well, and so many others. So we'll watch with interest. I'm kind of glad they put that life support system in. That would probably be useful.
Yeah. It might be, yes, it might be helpful.
Indeed. You can find plenty of stories that talk about that particular mission online if you care to search. One final thing, Fred, and this is probably not good news, and that is a potential budget cut that will hit NASA pretty hard.
Very hard, yeah. So this is the White House's proposed federal spending budget for 2026. And there's cuts in many, many areas, but NASA have actually taken the brunt of this with a cut, facing a possible cut. Has to be approved clearly, but it's 24.3%, coming down from 24.8 billion in this financial year to 18.8 billion in the next financial year. And of course, so many of NASA's programs are very, very sensitive to funding. Many of them are on shoestring budgets, like keeping the Voyagers in touch and the deep space programs. All of that, possible future missions for New Horizons, that's all you have to worry about the future of them. What's perhaps more significant, and I can see sort of where this is going, is we've just been talking about Artemis. The current Artemis program has, I think, 5 missions, which the last ones would have, would have the Gateway space station in orbit around the moon. The cuts would bring the Artemis mission to an end after Artemis 3. Gateway would be cancelled, and those later Artemis landings would be cancelled as well. And the sort of load on lunar exploration would then be taken by the private sector. That's the idea, that you get the private sector to do it, which probably means SpaceX and Blue Origin and companies like that. And so it will be a remarkably big change to what's currently planned. So the launch vehicles for Artemis are the Space Launch System, SLS, which uses recycled shuttle components, and the Orion capsule. That's what we've just been talking about, the capsule that will hold astronauts. The idea would be to phase it out after the 3 flights, after Artemis 3. So that includes the SLS as well. That would go.
And what I found in regard, like 24.3% funding cut, that is a huge cut.
It is.
And most of that will be felt in the space and earth science divisions of NASA. And when you look at what they do, Space Science Division does heliophysics, planetary science and astrophysics, and the Earth Science Division looks at atmospheric sciences, oceanography, land sciences, cryosphere technology, biosphere technology. I would have thought they were pretty important areas. But
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, they could get hammered in this if this budget cut goes ahead. Do you think Elon has sort of been saying to Mr. Trump, look, I can do this. You don't have to pay for it.
I couldn't possibly guess at the conversations that go between those two, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it's a bit of a worry. I had someone else told me that they've totally cut funding to National Public Radio, NPR, which is the US equivalent to the ABC. So I heard that.
Yeah.
So that's fairly tragic, I think, in the scheme of things.
Yeah. So these budget proposals have to go to the US Congress because they appropriate the funds, and it's remains to be seen what happens after that. The Congress is fairly evenly balanced, I think, politically. So we'll see.
Unlike our new government that's just been elected, because I think it's looking pretty lopsided at the moment.
Indeed.
Quite a result that was. Okay, thank you, Fred. If you'd like to look into that story about the potential budget cuts to NASA, spaceflightnow.com is the website. We're all done, Fred. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Always good to talk and to bring us ourselves up to date as well as everybody else on what's going on in the world of space and astronomy.
Very true. All right, we'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you, Fred. Professor Fred Watson, astronomer at large. And we would say thanks to Hugh in the studio, but he's not with us. Budget cuts and all, you know how it goes. And don't forget to visit us on our website, social media, and please leave reviews on your favourite podcasting platform. Apparently, they're quite helpful. And from me, Andrew Dunkley, thanks for your company. See you on the next episode of Space Nuts. Bye-bye.
Space Nuts. You've been listening to the Space Nuts podcast.
Mission complete, Houston.
Available at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or your favourite podcast player. You can also stream on demand at Bytes.com.
This has been another quality podcast production from Bytes.com.